All right, so here we got a Boxer Dynamic. So the problem with this is that the plexi here, it's got a nice large crack in it. And if someone were to actually miss the bag and punch this right here, they are going to slice their fist right open. So that's dangerous. So we are going to remove this and replace it. Here's another crack that eventually will start to get bad and get dangerous. So we're gonna need a heat gun, putty knife, some kind of blade to try and get behind there, and of course the new plexi and some silicone. So let's go get our tools. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our heat gun and we're gonna heat up an area, probably not where the cracks are. So I'll probably start from over here, heat it up, try to melt the silicone that's behind it, and then try to peel it off or peel it back with a putty knife. Just kind of get in there and get it out. It's gonna be a pain in the butt, but you got to do it. And afterwards, we'll probably have to clean it off. And then when we put the new one on, we put new silicone on. All right, so let's start heating it up. Oh, make sure you take out the start button here. You don't want, or the select gain button. You don't want that in there because it'll make it a pain in the ass to get out. So let's start heating it up and taking it off. All right, so just to explain what I did is I decided to just pick one corner. I didn't want to take this corner because this corner is cracked. I wasn't going to do down here because it's definitely broken right there. So I just chose this corner, but just choose one area where it's not kind of broken. Like I said, I chose here, so I applied a lot of heat there, and then I just kind of took my putty knife and just kind of shoved it in there and just kind of did a little, and just kind of pulled it out like that. Now that it's kind of cooled down, it's kind of almost easy to touch, but you just keep going like that. Keep heating it and keep prying it and keep heating it, keep prying it, and eventually you'll get it completely off. You will have to go back in there and kind of clean off all the old stuff. It happens. Just you can't get away from that. You're gonna have to clean it up. But like I said, keep heating and keep prying, keep heating and keep prying. Eventually you'll get it off. So it's just a matter of heat and prying and heat and prying. Or if you have a better way, let me know. All right, so I'm not gonna heat just one little corner at a time. I wanna heat like a whole section at a time. So when I did this little section here, I kind of heat it from here and down to here. From here down to here. A large section, not just a little corner. So I wanna do this little section right here, so that way I get it all nice and melted. And then I'm gonna do the same thing for here to here and here until I just get it off. So let's continue to heat it up and fry off. All right, so I got about half of it off right now. See right there, half of it's off. So now what I'm gonna do is that while I'm holding this with my hand, I'm gonna use the heat gun and I'm just gonna keep applying heat and at the same time pull. Pull and pull and pull and pull, and eventually it'll just come off. So let's continue on. All right, so now that we have this off, we have to clean it. So we have the arduous task of removing all the old silicone and the old stuff. I already kind of done some of it. Regular razor blade, that's all I got. This is all I'm doing, just a razor blade. I'm trying to peel it off as best as possible, bit by bit. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt, but you got to do it. So clean all this stuff off, make it nice and clean. And I mean, it doesn't have to be, back down to the fiberglass and every single speck of silicone removed. You just got to remove a lot of it. And then when we put new stuff on it, it'll all adhere to each other. So let's continue on and keep cleaning this up. Okay, so I got off as much as possible as I can. Yes, you do still see some, but that's more of a shadow or just residue. It's not really globs of it. So I've taken off the majority. As you can see, it's all over the place right here that I have to clean up. So now what's left to do is to re-silicone it. We're gonna put silicone wherever there was silicone. So all right here, these little spots right here, the spots right here, wherever it's flat and you can actually put some on, it's gonna go there. We're gonna put silicone there, and especially in the corners, you definitely wanna put a nice bead in the corners here. This is what's gonna keep everything sealed nicely. Because if the inside pops out, at least you have the outside keeping it on. But you should be good, you should be fine. Just gonna put a nice bead on the edge and then put a nice, generous portion of silicone on the inside, and then we'll stick it all together. If some of it squeezes out into the little crevice here, it's okay. As long as you're not gonna put so much that it's gonna fill it up and then cover the light, you're not gonna have to worry about anything. So Let's get to siliconing. All right, got silicone everywhere. Try not to have little drips hanging down because this is where the window is and you don't want any weird silicone lines running across there. So we got it all there. Now we're just gonna pull out the new one, put it on there, squish it on there, hold it for a few seconds, maybe even put some tape around it just to kind of hold it in place. This game will be down for the rest of the day until it cures, and then we can turn it back on. So let's go ahead and slap this bad boy back on. Okay, so we got that plexi back on. As you can see, I have put some 2x4s on there just to kind of keep it down. Some tape around the sides. I wanted to use straps, but the maintenance people are using all the straps, so I just did what I could with what I had. So I used duct tape just to kind of like hold the 2x4s down, so that way it keeps pressure on it, so that way it stays stuck. I would give it to at least tonight before I tell them to go ahead and take this off, and they should be cured enough. I'm sure to be cured in a few hours, but the longer the better. I don't want this thing popping off or slipping off or popping up in certain sections, and then, you know, it causes someone to get hurt. So I would prefer this to be completely cured before we start taking it off. So at this point, the game is done. We just gotta let that cure. Once it cures, remove it, turn it back on, and it is good to go. Well, hope this helps you, and thanks for watching. Just a quick tip, pretty much all the dynamic boxers are like this. Pretty much all the boxers, period, are kind of like this. They kind of have a face like this. It's siliconed on. You just got to heat it up and it should come right off. Some might have a slightly different type of way of removing, but for the most part, they're all the same silicone, and they stick on, and then that's it. All right, well, hope this helps, and once again, thanks for watching.